Welcome to the Peachtree Podcast. Peachtree Learning Center is a nonprofit in Middle Tennessee dedicated to training and discipling students in all the fine arts to become excellent and skilled in order to spread the kingdom of God into the world of the arts. On this podcast, we will discuss topics designed to encourage, uplift, educate, and equip people to proclaim the kingdom more deeply in their own families and communities. So welcome back to the Peachtree Podcast today. This is a special edition because we're interviewing our friend Josh Rexford, who's coming on board this summer to teach some camps and then the fall to teach some classes. And one of his many skills in his skill set box is he has built customizable escape room adventures for several different places in the past. And he is doing that for us next week on March the 15th and 16th as a fundraiser. So we're calling it a fundraiser. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and all the proceeds will go to help Peachtree raise some money this spring. So welcome aboard, Josh. Thanks for coming on the podcast to talk about this.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Great to be here.
We're very excited about all the things we have in the works to incorporate you into some of the things we're doing here and into classes and some workshops, upcoming workshops, and also excited about what God's going to do in the film realm for you. You've got a project that you're working on, turning one of your own plays that's been highly successful into a film, and we're super pumped about what all God's going to bring in that realm as well. But for now, immediately, we're very excited about you coming and building out an escape room. So tell us what that's kind of the skeleton of that and what it looks like and how it differs from the kind that comes in a box.
Well, the big way it differs from the kind that comes in a box is I design it myself. Like a lot of people don't necessarily know what goes into that, but essentially, when you're looking at an escape room, you have a living puzzle, if that makes sense. You're inside. It's an immersive board game, an immersive puzzle, however you want to look at it. I know I talk to a lot of people, even just with, talking to people about this particular one, people will say, I would hate to be locked in a room. Well, one thing, I hate to pull back the curtain too much. You'll never actually be locked in a room at an escape room. In fact, if you're ever actually locked in a room, then they probably don't know what they're doing because there's some fire hazards with that. So I've never been to an escape room where you're actually locked in. It's all a big game of make-believe, but it's a really fun game of make-believe, especially if you get a good story, if you've got a good premise. And so this time we're kind of leaning into, I'm a big fan of whodunits and mysteries, Agatha Christie, and I've been listening to a lot of Dorothy Sayers right now and just enjoying that genre. And I've been a fan of it for a long time. So escape rooms aren't always mysteries. Sometimes they're espionage, sometimes they're other sorts of challenges, but frequently, or at least one of the genres of storytelling that it goes along really well with is mystery. So we're aiming for that kind of in between the World Wars, 1930s, classic murder in an English mansion kind of a feel. And we're going to build that upstairs at Peachtree Learning Center. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Use the big art room up there, and we've got some antique furniture and some very period-looking pieces to kind of help you feel immersed in that world. And then, if it's true to what I've seen of the other ones that you've done, you've got suspects, you've got clues. People will have to solve clues to get more clues, to use those to put together the pieces that will eventually lead them to the person who committed the crime. That looked like it involved several different types of puzzle working and some good brainiac skill sets. And it's half of what you'd pay for an escape room experience.
Oh, yeah.
It's less than half of what the one around here used to even cost. So we're trying to do it in a way that's affordable for families and groups, but also still maintain a lot of integrity in the process. And I've loved watching you work through how that's going to happen and come and make measurements and plan things out. It's going to be really fun to see that come together next week. So there's a mystery to solve, and then whoever solves the mystery gets out apparently, or hopefully in the allotted time, right? That's the other.
Yeah, we hope so.
Because we've got it scheduled to run every hour, letting small groups sign up for an hour slot, but they'll be done before that if they've got any luck behind them, right?
Yeah. And we'll have it. It won't be, with running an hour slot, the time allotted for the puzzle will not be quite an hour.
Right.
Because you have to have, reset time in between. So you're actually looking at a 50-minute puzzle.
Okay.
Like you said, there's kind of two challenges that you're trying to do. without giving too much away before people actually get there. Kind of the scenario is, classic. A bunch of people are together at a mansion in the English countryside. Of course, if that happens, someone's going to end up dead. It's just literary certainty. and so the hostess of the weekend, the renowned artist, Lady Clarissa Miller, is found dead in front of her easel in the morning, having drunk some poison tea.
Oh my!
And essentially through kind of, and like I said, we'll hear a little bit more of the story before each group starts the room, so they'll know what's up. But essentially, they've got to clear their name because they've been framed for the crime. They got to clear their name and then also make it out of the escape room. So kind of a twofold puzzle. You got to prove who done it and get yourself unlocked. So it's a lot of fun. And one of the things I also want to encourage people, because in addition to people saying, oh, what if I'm, locked in there? Like I said, no one's ever actually locked in there. Right. But also a lot of people think that you have to be really good at Morse code or lock picking or these kinds of really niche skills to do an escape room. Some escape rooms might lean into that. I would say that's poor game design. Usually a good escape room is going to have everything you need to solve the puzzle in the puzzle. Right. It's kind of like you never get, a 100-piece puzzle, 500-piece puzzle, 1,000-piece puzzle from the store. Mm-hmm. and open it up and have, you've got to make 70 of the pieces.
Right.
It's a puzzle, all the pieces are going to be in there. We'll explain a lot of the how everything works right before you go in. And it really is one of the things I love about it. In fact, the second one that I actually designed specifically as a parent student event. Mm-hmm. And the reason I love it is because it does rely on people's different strengths. You get people who just are curious and active and can't sit still. And they're the ones who are going around the room just looking for things. You never know when something's going to be in something, under something, through something. Right. You never know, so you've got people gathering and you've got your more analytical people who are sitting there puzzling over these random pages that have these random markings on them and working through that. And it's really fun, especially when you get a group of people who enjoy being together in that room, in that environment. If they lean into just the fun of the whole thing, it's really fun and really exciting to watch those skill sets, that teamwork all kind of come together in the way that people interact in those things. So I really love them. One of the things I am so excited about things like this is the opportunity to make them available on a professional level. Mm-hmm. While this is not, a permanent escape room, the escape rooms that I've designed and built before, I've had people come through who've been to regular escape rooms. So like, this is just as difficult. This is just as fun. And the reason that I like the way we're doing it here is because we can keep those costs down and make it so people who you'd have to drive to Nashville and then pay $50-$60 mm-hmm. to go and do this per person. Mm-hmm. This is a way to do it here in Cookeville, to do it for a good cause, and to do it in a way that is accessible to the whole family.
Yeah, I was hoping for all those things. So I'm glad you pointed those out, because we love the idea of it, raising some funds, but we also really love the idea of having an activity that families can do together. We've been sending it out, sharing it with groups of young adults or teenagers or family groups. I've posted it on several homeschool pages because I just feel like it would be a great event for lots of people to come do together. And I know we're keeping the groups per hour small. As we're trying to say around 8 or so per group per hour. Yeah. So right now we've got a couple hours booked with fewer than that, but most of the hours we've got booked have at least are around 8 people, 6 to 8 people in them. And that controls the flow so that there's not such a glut of people up there that everybody didn't get a chance to participate. So it's not to limit your fun or make it not as enjoyable. It's really more about letting you have part of the fun of getting to solve the puzzles without just standing around for your $20 and watching other people do it.
That's one of the big things to keep in mind. And so this room specifically has been designed for that 6 to 8 person kind of group size, but you can do it with fewer, especially if you're really into puzzles and enjoy doing it like that. So it's not that it's impossible to do if you have fewer people. Technically, if you knew exactly what to do, you could get through all the work in, probably 20 minutes, but that's part of the fun is it's a puzzle.
Yeah, yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun. So real quick, I want to switch gears out of that and tell us a little bit about the workshop that you're offering in March. So at the end of this month on the 30th, we've just started posting about this workshop that you're going to offer. And it was kind of trying to, I guess, a little bit tailgate on the writers readers workshop day that we did a couple of weeks ago. We had a group of writers that all came in, they've all been published, all had great successes, and had them speak to us from different genres and different places in life about how they've been published and how they tell stories and what genres they were led to write in. And you've done extensive writing. You've got a huge background in that and have done a lot of plays. You and your wife Tabitha have done plays and have worked up screenplays, and you're offering a couple of workshops over the next few weeks, and then a camp this summer that all speak to how someone could pick up those skills themselves. So the first one is called Fantastic Characters and How to Write Them. Is that right?
Absolutely, yes.
And that's March the 30th. And so tell us kind of what people could expect. I think we're going to offer that to anybody really over 12 years old who wants to come.
Yeah, no, one of the things that I think is really important is no matter where you are in the writing journey and no matter what discipline you're in, that's one thing a lot of times too, people kind of like, oh, well, is this a play writing class, or is this a movie writing class, or is this a novel writing class? And the answer to that is yes, because a lot of, especially with the workshops, obviously you can teach a class or a workshop that is tailored to a specific medium, but all of those mediums rely on certain principles of writing. And I've been a writer. Well, my mom likes to joke that I've been a writer since before I could write, because I would draw pictures and then make her write in the stories and put them together and make books. And so I've had the bug since a young age, and I got to mentor in screenwriting under Don Ingalls, who had written for like Star Trek and Bonanza and a bunch of shows in that kind of an era, and then kind of started working on my own stuff. A lot of my initial stuff was stage plays. Who knows how many novels I've started? I just haven't finished them. Which is the story for any of us. But then, I've written for screen as well, and I love storytelling, and I'm super passionate about storytelling specifically in the Christian space, and not necessarily what we think of as Christian genres, but whatever genre God has called you to write, to do it for His glory and to do it with excellence.
Yes,
and so. One of the big areas for any story that's ever captured your imagination, I guarantee it had really good characters.
Yes.
Especially if you can.
Really bad characters in some of those stories that made you not care about the story.
Oh, for real. I remember, actually, I was at a film festival one time, and my parents were also there. This was years back. And I remember my parents went into a Christian film that people at this festival were just like really promoting and saying this was so great. And in the middle of the showing, my mom leaned over to my dad, and there was like this really tense moment where the main characters might get discovered, and it was supposed to be really intense. And my mom leaned over to my dad and said, if someone popped out and shot them all right now, I would not care.
Yes.
I remember my wife took me to a movie one time, and she was very into it. It just was not my genre. Mm-hmm. And the main character was so angsty. I was just like, please just die. Please. But one of the things, like on the flip side of that, there are stories that are completely outside of my genre,
right?
That, like my personal preferences, that I will absolutely fall in love with because the characters are just so great.
Yes.
I just finished, and my wife kind of looked at me. I said this to her. I was like, I just finished listening to Pride and Prejudice, which I had listened to when I was in middle school. My mom read it to us, and I liked the movies, but I didn't really like the book in middle school. And so I had just kind of been like, well, maybe it's just the movies were better. So recently I listened to it, and I walked into my wife one night and I was like, Jane Austen's really good.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, duh, Sherlock. Yeah. And it's not necessarily my typical genre, but the characters are so in-depth and so compelling. And when you can get a character that resonates with someone like that, you can draw them into a story. And we see this happen for good and for bad all around us. And so fantastic characters and how to write them is not just here, come up with a backstory for your characters. That's what I hear all the time. And backstory doesn't really do anything. It just means your character has existed in time and space. Why does the character's backstory make them the way that they are? What is the deep need that your character has? How does that connect in with what they want? How does that connect in with their biggest flaws? How does all of that kind of tie together? Because you can see people with very similar backstories who end up completely different characters.
Right.
And that's where we get interesting. That's where things get real. Because you can have a story that's set in a world where there are elves and dwarves and hobbits, and it can seem way more real than a story that I read about an Irish immigrant who came to America, which is a real thing that happened in the real world. And it's because the characters in The Lord of the Rings are so phenomenal. And the character in this story was an orphan who had everything go right and never made mistakes. It is one of the only books I have ever just stopped reading, because I'll stop listening to an audiobook because it's just not worth my time. But if I'm reading, I've committed.
Yeah.
If I'm reading on the page, I have committed. It is one of the only books that I put down. I was like, I'm done.
Yeah. But I know there's a lot of people in our families who have written or have wanted to write, or a few that have actually done it and would love to do more or better. And I think coming together for a workshop, at least to start with characters focus, is a great place to start, or even augment what you're already doing as a writer, just to be able to
absolutely
kind of think that process through, and maybe even do a refresh and figure out, I could be adding more depth or more dimensions or more layers of change possible, kind of thing, because of the circumstances I've invented for this story. I think it's a great place to start. So I'm very excited about that workshop.
Yeah.
There's another one coming in June, and then a camp. But for March, we're gonna really hope that people come out to the escape room next week,
yes,
Friday and Saturday, and then make a plan to come back on the 30th and do a workshop with you about writing characters. So
there we go. We don't want me to teach a workshop on character drawing.
But anyway, thank you very much for joining us today. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for joining us today. To support this podcast, please go follow us on your podcast platform of choice. And if you're interested in knowing more about the work of Peachtree, please go visit our website at peachtreelearningcenter.com for more information.